When I got home from grocery shopping and saw my disabled mother chained to our front porch, I thought we were just dealing with an overzealous neighbor. I had no idea this was the beginning of something darker, something that would lead to the FBI walking into a homeowners meeting. The moment I heard the chains clinking, my bags hit the ground. Eggs shattered across the driveway. "Mom!" My voice broke. There she was, shackled to the railing, her wheelchair shoved just out of reach. The morning air was cold, but nothing compared to the ice that hit my chest when I saw her. Karen Mitchell, the HOA president, standing there smugly with bolt cutters in one hand and designer sunglasses in the other. "Your mother violated Code 47B, she said, like she was reading a parking ticket. "Disabled residents cannot be left unattended on porches for more than 15 minutes. Mom's arthritic hands trembled against the metal links. "Amy, I just needed some fresh air," she whispered. "I've been inside all week." I rushed forward, my fingers shaking as I fumbled with the chain. "You can't do this. You chain a disabled woman to her own house." Karen's voice didn't waver. "I have full enforcement authority. Read your contract." "What contract gives you the right to physically restrain someone?" I snapped. "The one your mother signed," Karen said, scrolling through her phone. "Section 12, paragraph 4. Necessary measures to maintain community standards." Mom's eyes filled with tears. I never agreed to this. Once I freed her and helped her into her chair, I saw red welts on her wrists. "I'm calling the police." "Be my guest," Karen said smugly. "Officer Davidson? He's my brother-in-law." As I wheeled Mom inside, I noticed something strange. A black sedan parked across the street, engine idling, windows tinted too dark to see inside. It hadn't been there earlier. Inside, I wrapped Mom in her favorite blanket. Her hands shook as she sipped her tea. "I'm sorry you had to see that," she whispered. "No, Mom, you're the one who was attacked." I took out my phone and began documenting everything. This isn't just overreach. This is criminal. Mom hesitated. It's been escalating for weeks. First, they complained about my service dog barking. Max only barks when I need help. Then it was the color of my wheelchair ramp. "Why didn't you tell me?" She looked away. "You already do so much. I didn't want to be a burden." "Stop," I said, kneeling beside her. "You're not a burden. You're my mother, and no one gets to treat you like this." That afternoon, I called lawyer after lawyer. No one would take our case. HOAs have broad power, they all said. Fighting them is expensive and usually pointless. By evening, an email arrived, notice of additional violations. A $5,000 fine for wheelchair track damage on lawn, plus $500 for unauthorized restraint removal. "This is insane," I muttered. I dug through the HOA documents and found it, buried deep in legal jargon, vague language about necessary enforcement. Then Mom wheeled into my room. "That black car? It's still there." As I looked through the blinds, the driver's window lowered slightly. A glint of glass, a camera lens. Then the window rolled up again. "Mom, how long has that car been watching us?" "About 2 weeks," she said, "right after I filed a complaint." My heart stopped. "You filed a complaint?" "At the last HOA meeting. I noticed Karen had billed the HOA for work done on her own house. Landscaping, patio upgrades. It was all in the financial reports. And suddenly it all clicked. This wasn't about porch codes. This was about silencing her. The next morning, our garbage bins were moved, blocking her wheelchair ramp. A note taped to one read, "Bins must be stored out of sight. $200 fine for non-compliance." As I dragged them away, our neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez rushed over, whispering, "I saw who did it. Karen's son. 3 a.m. I've got footage." "Why are you whispering?" "Because Karen has eyes everywhere," she said. "She got the Patels evicted for hanging prayer flags. That's discrimination." Mrs. Rodriguez slipped me a USB. "There's more on here. Be careful." Back inside, I plugged it in. Dozens of video files. Karen and her crew harassing residents, tampering with mail, photographing houses at night. "Mom, look." Every target had one thing in common. They had either questioned Karen's authority or were disabled. Then came the next email. Emergency HOA meeting. Disciplinary action required. Subject, Margaret Thompson. My mom. They're coming after you again, I said. Mom straightened her back. Let them. I didn't survive 3 tours in Afghanistan to be bullied by a suburban tyrant. The next morning felt off. Quiet. Too quiet. As I stepped outside, the air was heavy with something unspoken. Then I saw it. Our mailbox. A plain manila envelope sat inside. No stamp, no return address. Just our names scrawled in thick black marker. Inside, photographs. Karen Mitchell, our ruthless HOA president, meeting with known criminals. One picture showed her passing a thick envelope to a man with a prison tattoo. Another, her walking into a private bank. Paperclip beside them were bank statements showing massive cash withdrawals. And one sticky note. We're building a case. Keep pushing. I turned instinctively toward the street. The black sedan was gone. That evening, chaos exploded on our neighborhood Facebook group. Someone, an anonymous user, leaked internal HOA emails. I scrolled, heart racing. Subject, Operation Clean Sweep. Karen had written, our goal is to restore Silverbrook to its original character. Start with the undesirables. Veterans, renters, anyone who draws attention. I dropped my phone. Sarah messaged immediately. This proves conspiracy. We called everyone we knew. Neighbors, old friends, people who've been harassed, fined, or worse. The next morning, they showed up, dozens of us, signs in hand, faces full of fire. HOA equals harassment organization. People over property values. Power belongs to the people. Karen arrived, red-faced, fuming. This is HOA common property. You're trespassing. Then came Officer Davidson, Karen's brother-in-law. She marched over, expecting backup. This is a legal assembly, he said calmly. I can't remove them without cause. Karen's jaw clenched. I'm your family. And I'm a sworn officer, he said. The law comes first. Then we heard it. Wop, wop, wop. A news helicopter hovered overhead. Cameras pointed our signs, our crowd, our voices rising like thunder. That night, our house phone rang, one we rarely use anymore. A number with no ID. Mrs. Thompson. The voice said, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Federal Courthouse. Bring everything you have. Who is this? My mom asked. A friend. One who's waited a long time for Karen Mitchell to screw up. And she just did. After the call, I found Mom sitting quietly, staring at an old photo album. A younger version of her stood in uniform, medals glinting in the sun. Amy, she said softly, there's something you need to know. She closed the album, eyes locking with mine. Before I retired, I worked in military intelligence. I specialize in uncovering discrimination against veterans, especially in housing. My breath caught. You were investigating this kind of thing? She nodded. Until my disability forced me out. But I never really stopped watching. Karen didn't start targeting me at random. Someone tipped her off about my background. So when they chained you, they were trying to intimidate me into silence, she said, her voice steady now. But they picked the wrong veteran. The next morning, as we gathered our evidence for court, our phones lit up with breaking news alerts. FBI raids HOA president's home. Live footage showed agents removing boxes of files from Karen's house. She was on the lawn, screaming about her constitutional rights. Mom watched in silence, then said, the chains that bound me just became the evidence that'll imprison her. The war wasn't over, but for the first time, the tide had turned. Later that day, we attended the emergency HOA meeting Karen had arrogantly called, probably to clean up her mess. Instead, the double doors slammed open. 5 men in black suits strode in, FBI badges flashing under fluorescent lights. Karen froze. Her papers dropped from her hands and fluttered to the floor like dying leaves. The lead agent stepped forward. Karen Mitchell, you're under arrest for federal housing discrimination, elder abuse, and racketeering. Karen's voice cracked. This is ridiculous. I'm the president of this HOA. You can't just... We can. The agent cut her off, snapping out a pair of handcuffs. And we are. Karen backed into whiteboard. You set me up, she screamed, pointing at me. You and your crippled mother. The room gasped. Even her die-hard supporters stepped back. The agent turned to me. Actually, we've been investigating Mrs. Mitchell for 6 months. Your mother's not her first victim. But thanks to your evidence, she'll be the last. My voice caught, but I only started filing complaints last week. As Karen was dragged out, still ranting about conspiracies, the agent approached me. Miss Thompson, I'm Agent Rodriguez. We need to talk. The rest of the HOA board looked like statues, wide-eyed and frozen. Rodriguez faced them and said, This meeting is over. We'll be in touch with each of you. The room emptied fast. Neighbors scattering like roaches when the lights come on. Only Sarah, Mom, and I remained. And the agents. I turned to Rodriguez. How long have you known? Agent Rodriguez met my gaze with calm certainty. Long enough to know your mother was in danger, he said. But we needed undeniable proof of physical abuse. When Karen chained her to that porch, she gave us everything. Mom rolled forward in her wheelchair, jaw tight. You used me as bait. No, ma'am, Rodriguez said gently. We were watching closely. If it had gone further, we'd have stepped in immediately. Sarah leaned forward, ever the paralegal on high alert. What about the others? The disabled residents targeted across the neighborhood. Rodriguez nodded grimly. We've documented 37 cases. 3 states. The Mitchells would infiltrate HOAs, then drive out elderly, disabled, and minority residents. Once the homes sold cheap, they flipped them for profit. I clenched my fists. But why target my mom? Why go that far? Rodriguez exchanged a glance with his partner. That's complicated. Can we speak inside? 20 minutes later, we sat around our coffee table, now buried under files. Financial records, surveillance photos, email chains. The scale was staggering. Rodriguez looked up. Mrs. Thompson, did you know Karen Mitchell's husband served in the same military unit as you? Mom's coffee cup clattered. No, that's impossible. I'd remember. Not at the same time, he explained. He was discharged from misconduct 2 years after you retired, but he had access to classified personnel files. My stomach turned. He knew about her past in military intelligence. We believe so. When they saw your mom's name on the Silverbrook resident list, they panicked, thought she might be investigating them. Mom laughed darkly. I've been retired 10 years. I just want to plant tomatoes, not bust criminals. Rodriguez shrugged. Their paranoia made them sloppy. That chain stunt left a paper trail a mile long. Sarah was furiously typing. What about the other board members? Were they in on it? Some, but 3 came to us last month. Terrified of Karen, unsure how to stop her. Mom rubbed her temples. All this time, I thought my neighbors hated me. Some were scared into silence, Rodriguez replied. Karen ruled with blackmail and fear. Just then, the doorbell rang. Rodriguez instinctively touched his holster. Sarah peeked through the peephole. It's Mrs. Peterson and others. Rodriguez nodded. Let them in. They deserve to know the truth. What followed felt surreal. Neighbors once cold or hostile entered in tears. Mrs. Peterson spoke first. Amy, we wanted to help. But Karen threatened foreclosure. She had something on everyone. Mr. Jameson stepped forward, eyes down. She told me to complain about the ramp. Said she'd report my son's visa status, if I didn't. Story after story spilled out. Coercion, intimidation, sabotage. I looked at them, heartbroken and furious. Why did anyone go to the police? We did, Mrs. Peterson said. But Karen's brother-in-law made sure complaints vanished. Rodriguez nodded. That's why we got involved. Local law was compromised. Mom squeezed my hand. Amy, I knew something was wrong. That's why I sat on the porch. I knew she'd snap. I blinked. You planned that. I knew she'd overplay her hand. I just didn't expect chains. Rodriguez chuckled. Your mom made our job easier. Her instincts? still razor sharp. Sarah leaned forward. So what now? Now we take down the whole network. But we'll need your help, testimony, records, and he hesitated. We'd like to use your house as a command center. Mom straightened in her chair. You want to run a sting operation from my living room? Only if you're willing. I looked at Mom, her pain, her resilience, the fire that never went out. They mess with the wrong family, she said. When do we start? Right now, Rodriguez grinned. We've got surveillance gear in the van. As agents transformed our home into a miniature war room, the doorbell rang again. This time, Rodriguez answered. A man in an expensive suit stood stiffly. I'm Kenneth Mitchell's attorney. I have a message from Mrs. Thompson. He glanced past Rodriguez and paled at the sight of cameras and agents. Perhaps I should return. No, Mom called out. We're all friends here. Say your piece. The lawyer hesitated. Mr. Mitchell is prepared to offer a substantial settlement if you agree to drop all charges and sign an NDA. The room went silent. Then Mom let out a laugh I hadn't heard in months. Tell Kenneth Mitchell, she said sweetly, that he can take his offer and shove it somewhere the sun doesn't shine. We're just getting started. The transformation was swift. Wires snaked behind bookshelves. Microphones were hidden inside picture frames. Computers hummed in every corner. Mom barked orders like she never left active duty. Rodriguez leaned close. There's something else you should know, Amy. What now? Your mom wasn't just any intelligence officer. She specialized in domestic terrorism and organized crime. Her last investigation? He paused. A national pattern of housing discrimination. My jaw dropped. She never told me. She couldn't. Most of it's still classified. But Karen triggered something in her. That's why she documented everything. She's been building a case unconsciously. Just then, Sarah burst in, laptop in hand. Guys, you need to see this. She turned the screen. Karen's arrest video had gone viral. But the comments... Look at this, Sarah whispered. Neighborhood after neighborhood chimed in with similar stories. Same company. Same tactics. This is bigger than we thought, Rodriguez said. Public pressure will keep the case alive. Mom wheeled forward, fire in her eyes. When do we start the sting? Tonight, Rodriguez said. 3 board members still think this is just about a porch stunt. They don't know we have proof of the full operation. So what's the play? I asked. We leaked that your mom has documents proving the conspiracy. Then we watch who comes sniffing around. You're using her as bait again? No, Mom said firmly. I'm volunteering. These people thought they could terrorize a neighborhood into silence. She looked right at Rodriguez. Let's show them what happens when they mess with a veteran. They pushed Mrs. Peterson's husband to his grave, convinced he'd lose his home. They threatened to deport the Jameson boy, just to shut him up. Someone had to stop them. That night, the plan went into motion. Sarah posted in the neighborhood Facebook group. While cleaning out old files, Mom found something interesting. An hour later, our security camera picked up movement in the backyard. I leaned in. That's Tom Reynolds. I whispered, eyes on the monitor. HOA board member. Tom crept up to our back door, then tried the window. What he didn't know. FBI agents were waiting inside the garage. FBI, freeze. They got him. Lockpicks in one hand, flashlight in the other. Red-handed. Under pressure, Tom cracked. He gave up everything. Names, dates, accounts. The Mitchells had been paying off board members to harass residents into moving out. But then came the bombshell. Karen Mitchell kept real records. Proof of bribes, threats, forgeries. In a safety deposit box. First National Bank, box 307. Only she could access it. Rodriguez made a call. 20 minutes later, he returned. Judge signed the warrant. We open that box first thing tomorrow. Mom stretched and yawned. Well, this old lady needs her sleep. Fighting corruption takes it out of you at my age. But later, I found her staring silently out the kitchen window. You okay? I asked. She didn't look at me. I spent years fighting evil in the shadows. I thought retirement meant walking away. But evil doesn't retire, does it? Is that why you never told me about your real job? She turned toward me. I wanted you to have a normal life, one where you didn't always have to look over your shoulder. Then she smiled. But I trained you anyway, didn't I? All those puzzle games, strategy talks, memory exercises. Guilty as charged. A mother prepares her child for the world she knows. Next morning, Rodriguez called. We got the box. Karen documented everything like she was proud of it. 15 years of abuse, 6 states, over 200 families. Elderly, disabled, minorities didn't matter. The Mitchells made millions. Then he hesitated. Amy, we also found something personal. Karen had a file on your mom. Military records, medical reports, surveillance photos. My heart froze. She was obsessed. Your mom testified against Karen's father 20 years ago. He ran a similar scheme targeting veterans. Mom never recognized the name Mitchell. Karen was using her married name. It was revenge and fear. She knew if anyone could bring her down, it'd be your mom. That afternoon, we held an emergency meeting at the community center. Without Karen's intimidation, the truth came pouring out. They said my autism made me unfit to live here, a young man shared. They called my Ramadan lights foreign trash, Mr. Gemelin added. They tried to ban my guide dog, said a blind neighbor. Mom listened, taking notes. When they were done, she rolled to front. I failed you, she began, her voice steady but thick with emotion. I saw the signs. I just thought I was being paranoid. I should have. No, Mrs. Peterson interrupted. You were the only one brave enough to fight. The room murmured in agreement. Mr. Jameson stood. I nominate Mrs. Thompson as interim HOA president. The vote? Unanimous. That night, as we celebrated, Agent Rodriguez pulled me aside. The Mitchells' lawyer called. They want a deal, reduce sentences in exchange for a full confession. You taking it? No, we've got enough to bury them. Besides, your mom gave us something else. What now? She kept every legal classified report she ever filed, including a housing discrimination case from 10 years ago, mentioned shell companies matching the Mitchell structure. I laughed. She knew. Not exactly, but she suspected. That's why she moved here after your dad passed. She wasn't just retiring. She was still hunting. She just didn't know what for yet. And as I watched her that night, surrounded by grateful neighbors, organizing recovery committees, I didn't see a fragile woman in a wheelchair. I saw the warrior she'd always been.